Would he let me go like this? Her gaze dropped to Forrest's chest, the place where his own heart was beating beneath his olive-green uniform. A bullet could pierce him in a split second. A bullet could keep him from ever returning home. Forrest, She was interrupted by a shrill whistle that made her jump. It was the last call to board, and there was a sudden shuffle towards the train cars. Iris shivered again. Here, Forrest said, setting down his leather satchel. I want you to have this. Iris watched as her brother opened the clasp and withdrew his tan-coloured trench coat. He held it out to her, arching his brow when she merely stared at it. But you'll need it, she argued. They'll give me one, he replied. Something war-approved, I imagine. Go on, take it, little flower. Iris swallowed, accepting his trench coat. She slipped her arms into it, belting the worn fabric tight across her waist. It was too big for her, but it was comforting. It felt like armour. She sighed. You know, this smells like the horologist's shop, she drawled. Forrest laughed. And what exactly does a horologist's shop smell like? Like dusty, half-wound clocks and expensive oil, and those tiny metal instruments you use to fix all the broken pieces. But that was only partly true. The coat also held a remnant of the Revel Diner, where she and Forrest would eat dinner at least twice a week while their mother waited tables. It smelled of the riverside park, of moss and damp stones, and long walks, and Forrest's sandalwood aftershave because, no matter how much he wanted one, he couldn't grow a beard. Then it should keep you good company, he said, slinging his satchel over his shoulder. And you can have the wardrobe all to yourself now. Iris knew he was trying to lighten the mood, but it only made her stomach ache to think about the small closet they shared in their flat, as if she would truly store his clothes somewhere else while he was gone. I'm sure I'll need the spare hangers since, as you well know, I keep up with all the current fashion trends, Iris countered wryly, hoping Forrest couldn't hear the sadness in her voice. He only smiled. This was it then. The platform was nearly empty of soldiers, and the train was hissing through the gloom. A knot welled in Iris's throat. She bit the inside of her cheek as Forrest embraced her. She closed her eyes, feeling the scratch of his linen uniform against her cheek, and she held the words she wanted to say in her mouth like water. How can you love this goddess more than me? How can you leave me like this? Their mother had already spoken such sentiments, angry and upset with Forrest for enlisting. Asta Winnow had refused to come to the depot to see him off, and Iris imagined she was at home, weeping as the denial wore away. The train began to move, creeping along the tracks. Forrest slipped from Iris's arms. Write to me, she whispered. I promise. He took a few steps backward, holding her gaze. There was no fear in his eyes, only a dark, feverish determination. And then Forrest turned, rushing to board the train. Iris followed until he disappeared into the closest car. She lifted her hand and waved, even as tears blurred her vision, and she stood on the platform long after the train had vanished into the fog. Rainwater was seeping into her shoes. The lamps flickered overhead, buzzing like wasps. The crowd had dispersed, and Iris felt hollow, alone, as she began to walk home. Her hands were cold, and she slipped them into the coat pockets. That was when she felt it, a crinkle of paper. Frowning, she assumed it was a candy wrapper that Forrest had forgotten about, until she pulled it out to study in the dim light. It was a small piece of paper, folded crookedly, with a vein of typed words. Iris couldn't resist smiling, even as her heart ached. She read, Just in case you didn't know, you are by far the best sister I've ever had. I'm so proud of you. And I'll be home before you know it, little flower. Part 1. Letters Through the Wardrobe. Chapter 1. Sworn Enemies. 5 months later. Iris dashed through the rain with a broken high heel and a tattered trench coat. Hope was beating wildly in her chest, granting her speed and luck as she crossed the tram tracks downtown. She had been anticipating this day for weeks, and she knew she was ready.